welcome to a very special breaking news episode of 5 Minutes with Freed. I'm your host, Michael Freed. I'm a litigation partner in the matrimonial and family law firm of Berkman, Botker, Newman, and Shine, with offices in New York City, Westchester, and Long Island. And today, my very special guest is my partner, Jessica Toelstedt. Jessica is the co-chair of the Mediation and Collaborative Law Department of Berkman, Botker, Newman, and Shine. So, Jessica, welcome to 5 Minutes with Freed.
Thank you for having me.
Sure. So, normally I don't bring members of the firm onto the show, but because of this special occasion, we have some breaking news. Jessica is here today to announce a new service that we're providing to couples that are contemplating marriage. So, Jessica, explain to us what this service is.
Yes, so this new service is called pre-marriage mediation. And basically, I serve in my role as a mediator, and I provide a supportive environment where couples can come before they get married to talk about what they see for their financial partnership during their marriage. Quite often nowadays, people are getting married later in life. They already have established careers, 401ks, perhaps stock that's been issued and going to vest during the marriage, businesses, apartments. And, the truth is when you get married, if you end up getting divorced, or if God forbid someone dies, the law, absent an agreement otherwise, is going to dictate what happens. It's going to dictate how you classify assets, how you divide assets. So what better time than before you get married to learn how the law is going to treat, your specific situation.
Well, that makes total sense. That's great. So, Jessica, what are the topics that you would be discussing during these sessions?
So as part of the process, the parties will provide asset and liability statements, information about their compensation, and perhaps even their career trajectory. And then looking at all of those things, we're going to talk about, one, what their vision of their financial partnership is during their marriage, and how that might be similar to or contrary to what the law calls for. And if it's contrary to what the law calls for, what we do about that. And that could mean something as simple as just explaining how to handle their accounts, whether to keep them separate, whether to join them together, whether a prenuptial agreement might be necessary, if a couple is expecting inheritance during the marriage, how to handle that inheritance, what type of account to put it in. Do you put it into joint names? Do you put it into separate names? Similarly, if they're going to buy a property during the marriage and they want to use money that they had before the marriage, how to ensure that they safeguard that money as separate property if they want to. So it's really an opportunity to be informed as you go into what is a legal union.
Perfect. So now, Jessica, what do you think the benefits are for couples that engage in this process?
At a very basic level, and I know you've experienced this too, when people come in to us to get a divorce, one of the things that we hear quite often is when we start asking about assets, well, everything's in separate names and always has been. And people don't realize that that probably means nothing. And so at that point, they've realized they've lived their marital lives together, having one understanding of the law. And then at the end of their marriage, something entirely different is going to happen. And quite frankly, if they had known that at the outset, they may have planned differently. They may have done things differently. They may not have even stayed in the marriage as long as they had, knowing the financial implications. So I think one of the best benefits of this process is that people can be informed and make knowledgeable decisions about how they're going to handle their finances, both in terms of the things they've acquired before the marriage and also any assets they acquire during the marriage.
Perfect. So what's the best way for couples to get in touch with you for this process?
Really to call our office or to email me directly, and we can set up an appointment.
What's your email address?
J. Toelstedt, Toel, excuse me, Stedt @berkbot.com. Even I can misspell my last name. And you can email me directly.
Perfect. So now, Jessica Toelstedt, we've now come to the most important part of our show. And that happens to be the question of the week. So, Jessica Toelstedt, this is your question of the week. If you were able to go back in time to the day before you started college, and I know what college you went to, SUNY Buffalo, and you were able to have a talk with your younger self, what advice would you give yourself and why?
So the day before would be a little difficult because the I would have already been at college and ready to start. But if I could have a little bit more lead time, I probably would have told myself to stay home. Um, I was one of those students that was not ready for college, but was under the impression that if I did not go to college directly after high school, that meant you weren't smart, or weren't going to do something important or good with your life. And I think I would have gone back and sat myself down and said, take a little time, take a year, work, and then go back when you're ready and you have some idea what you want to do. And it ultimately ended up doing a 6-year plan. I left school for a little while, went back. And when I did go back, I did really, really well. But I had started off roughly. And so, obviously GPAs average over time. And that was a lot to come back from. But yeah, that's what I would tell myself, is that you don't have to go directly to college in order to prove to anyone that you're intelligent or making wise decisions.
Wow, that's a profound answer. And Jessica Tolstadt, you have said it all. You are providing pre-marriage mediation services to couples one day at a time. And I want to thank you for being a wonderful guest on 5 Minutes with Bree.
Thank you for having me, Michael.